in HMS Fortitude in Ardrossan. This was at the time they were bringing the survivors from the Dasher ashore. Would you like to say a few words about it?
Well, I was a trainee at the Royal Navy Sick Bay Quarters at HMS Ardrossan, and the 27th of March 1943, about 10 minutes to 5, I was going to see one or two of the patients and take tea to them, when all of a sudden a great bang arrived and windows shattered, my trays went everywhere, and then the next thing the MO came through and said there'd been a tragedy. He says, be prepared, there'll be a few casualties coming in, to get as much hot water as you can, put all the kettles on, blah blah blah, and get as much water as you can. So just at that, maybe say that would be about 10 minutes to 5 when that happened, and later on I would say time would be about 5:30 when the casualties started. One or two came in.
Really? As early as that?
One or two came in, well maybe between that and 6, one or two did come in.
Mm.
Yes, one or two came in, because it was just shortly after the bang, you know, the MO told us to be prepared.
Yeah.
So anyhow, one or two come in then, and then gradually, as time went on, another one came and another one went on like that. We had to evacuate one or two of the patients that were in the medical ward, put them into somewhere else to get them in there. It was a bit sad, you know, sad to speak about it, because I'd never actually seen anything like this before. So this one that did come in, for the one or two come in who were burned from, maybe say from the chest downwards. One or two had it in their face, their arms, it was really, some had 3rd-degree burns. And then this one was brought in, and the doctor called me through, and he said, now look, actually, I would say he was DOA at the time, and he said, but I want you to stay with them for a minute or two. He says, I have to go and attend to others that really need me. So he says, stay for a minute or two and I'll come back and call you because I need you for other things.
DOA means dead on arrival.
Dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. DOA.
Yeah.
Dead on arrival,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, he actually was DOA at the time, I would say.
And Fred, you were, at the time of the explosion, you were on the mess deck, and I believe you climbed up to the flight deck and then you got off the ship. And
Well,
can you just describe that for us?
Yeah, I mean, a ship, once the electric power has gone off, is a pretty dead thing. And so you've lost its tannoy as well. There's no
total darkness. Yes.
Yeah.
Total. Yeah.
Apart from one or two emergency lamps that were working automatically to throw some light on, but most of them didn't seem to work.
Yeah. You must have known your way around the Dasher, did you? Because obviously you were able to find your way out. Is that?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
The first thing was that there was a lot of banging in people's lockers because they were dashing to get either their life belts, which we weren't wearing, we weren't required to in safety.
No.
And or else they were dashing for some prized possession, I presume.
Yeah.
And the general feeling was to go up to the abandoned ship station, which in my case was on the port side, and I did just that, but everyone was in the dark, literally, as to what had happened.
And when you managed to get in the water, did you manage to escape all the burning oil? Were you, because that was a real problem for many. They burnt alive in the oil.
Well, I had to jump off from the flight deck.
Flight deck,
and,
yes.
The sea at that stage, there's no sign of fire at all, but it was several minutes later, probably at least 10 I would think, but you can't judge.
You can't judge that, no,
in
no.
such a
Situation, no, no.
And anyway, I was holding on to a 50-gallon drum
50, yes.
because I got
Yeah.
no lifeboat belt on, and when I smelt smoke and
Yeah.
saw the flames, I decided I didn't want that anymore.
Yeah. And Barbara, when you got when Fred came ashore, what was his physical state? Was he burnt, or was he in a state of
we
shock?
We didn't meet them.
You didn't meet then, no.
Going
No.
back to
No.
going back to sick bay again.
Yes.
The, he was a Lieutenant Buxton,
Yes.
and while I was there, I thought. Now we were told not to mention the Dasher. I don't know
Yeah.
why HMS Dasher. We were told not to mention it. So I said a prayer, and I thought, now you're somebody's son, some mother's son, and she's not going to know anything about it. And I looked at him and I said, well, I know what I'll do. I'll get a red rose, I'll put it in the water every year, and trenched in the march for you and the boys. And I've done that every year for 1943.
Yes, yes.
Now, there was others brought in that were really, it was really bad, they were,
Badly burned, and yes.
yeah,
Yes.
there was some, the
Yes.
stench
The
was
stench. The
the
stench.
stench was really bad.
Yes.
We had surgical wards with me,
Yeah.
but we couldn't cope with that
No.
because we had to send them to Ballochmyle. Latterly, most of them went to Ballochmyle
Yes.
because they had things like, it was going by an ops in Ballochmyle,
Yes.
so they had things for that, for Air Force, Navy, etc. And then 3 days after that, it'd be 3 days after that, we were detailed to go to a route march sort of thing.
Yeah.
We had to go,
To a funeral.
to the funeral.
That was on the Wednesday.
Yes.
wasn't it?
And I think you were at it, Fred.
I was at it. I was
Yes.
in the leading row because I'm a big man.
Yes. Yes.
That's where I naturally fell in. And we followed the pipe band playing the Dead March through Ardrossan. I remember we passed a school. There were one or two hearses and the cars for relatives, and then there was more coffins which were on a lorry, and we passed a school in Ardrossan just before the cemetery, and the whole school was turned out into and as if it were having the school photograph taken,
Yes.
and they got the flag at half-mast, and there was total silence in these children as we marched past, slow march.
Yes. Okay. To finish up, could I?
It was
Yes.
so emotional.
Yes.
I burst into tears.
Yes.
at that.
I was going to ask you, just to finish up, what is the most important, lasting visual memory you have of this terrible disaster for each of you? I know it's probably not an easy question. Something that sort of almost haunts you, and you just can't.
The memory,
Keeps coming back.
yeah, the memory that haunts me.
There's so much.
There's so many. There's so many.
Yeah.
Yes, so many.
Yes,
One-
scenarios
Yes.
that are very strongly
Very strong.
printed.
So there's not really one. There's so many.
There's
Yes.
not only.
And then of course there's all your friends, all your colleagues.
One that haunts
Yes.
me is one lived for 13 days.
Yes.
He was burned from head
Yes.
to foot. His name was George MacDonald. I think that was his name anyway.
Yes. Yes.
And he lived for 13 days.
13 days.
That was a sad part.
Terrible.
That was really sad.
Yes.
He couldn't speak. He would know your feet mark. When he heard your feet mark, he would go
Yes. Yes.
your name, or if it was George, a lot. There were SBAs there besides me.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
one or two doctors.
Yeah.
And that's the only way he could talk. Like, and he asked for
Yeah.
water, but you weren't
Yeah.
allowed to give him water.
No.
You could only tip his lips.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But that he lived for 13 days.
13 days. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he had a private one by
Yes.
himself. You
Yes.
know.
Yes. So for both of you now, this special
stench.
day, this special reunion week you have every year, it's really, although it brings back all the terrible memories, it's still, in a way, special
Well,
would they say that was correct?
never did I think.
Yes.
Never did I think I was going to meet any survivors.
No, that's
Never
right.
did I really
Yes.
realise that.
Yes,
And it wasn't until years after that that you met the survivors. You
yes,
know.
yes.
I had the ambulance driver was what was his name again? At the moment I can't think.
I can't think of his name, no.
Well, anyway, it will come back to me.
Yes,
But the ambulance driver met John Steele
yes,
along the promenade, and they were speaking about different things, you know, casual.
Yes.
And he said, that's where the big ship went down. And John Steele said to him, the big ship? What big ship are you speaking about? He says, oh, an aircraft carrier. And he says, I didn't know that. He says, oh yes. He says, and that's the sick bay over there where I was, in Barbra Cay.
yeah,
And he says, oh, I'm quite interested in that. He says, I would like to write a book about it.
yeah.
Where can I get in touch with Barbra Cay? Oh, he says, I've got her address, I'll give you it. So John Steele sent for me and my girlfriend, and we went to John Steele's house and we gave him the data, you know, different things.
So you feel, Barbara, that you really initially got John Steele interested
Yeah.
in this subject, which led
Oh,
to
he was,
his first
yes.
book and then his second book,
Yeah.
and opened up the whole story of the Dasher, which had been
This
kept
one,
secret.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Well, thank you both for your candid reflections on this terrible tragedy, and I wish you both well. God bless you
Thank
both.
you.
Thank you.